Hey everyone, Margarita here. I want to talk in this video about how my content and my entire YouTube channel and all of the other content and any other platforms will be going viral as soon as the entire case blows. This is a very large scale, long term corruption case involving my mother and many high level officials and many other people and agencies who have all participated in the crimes against me long term for decades, which has led to many financial wipeouts and all these catastrophic events that have occurred in my life, including my serious permanent injuries. So I know a lot of people are snickering and talking shit, and they don't want to believe that the things I'm saying are real because my mother did such a good job at portraying herself to be this great person with the sweet personality and the sweet, caring person. And the reality is, none of that was ever real. That's a false personality. It's a fake persona. That's not who she truly is. Behind closed doors, she's a deranged lunatic. And that's the way she's always been directly to me, which is exactly why she was cut out right when I turned 18 and I bought my own home. When I say there's been no contact, no relationship for decades, I literally mean it. So other people have a hard time comprehending who she truly is as a person and didn't want to believe some of the things that I've been saying in my videos. And a lot of that's due to the false narrative that she was able to grow about me over the course of my entire life with every person she knows, which could be upwards of like 1,000 people at this point. So, I know some of these videos don't have a lot of views currently. It depends on which platform you're watching my videos on, but some of them don't have a lot of views. And it is better structured on YouTube. You're better able to understand the story watching it through the YouTube platform or following along on Facebook and reading some of the posts and or watching some of the videos. But the other platforms, it's not all in order to that degree. So I try to direct people to YouTube to better understand the situation. But the reality is, in the background, I've been filming these videos for almost 2 years now. I've been planning on filming these videos for about 8 years. And there was over 5 years where I wasn't even sure if I was going to live or if I was ever going to be able to deliver the information and learn how to speak properly enough to make the videos to get anybody to understand what's been going on or to tell my story because of all the significant brain injuries and how long the injuries stayed very severe where I couldn't deliver words out of my mouth properly. And because of the carbon monoxide poisoning, it was a mix of all of them together. All of that was loaded up inside my brain, and it took hundreds of thousands of dollars in out-of-pocket treatments, plus over $1 million in treatments that my insurance paid for, to get me across the first threshold so I could speak more normalized to where people aren't really recognizing there's an issue. So I know if you watch me long enough, you'll start to see me stutter or you'll see me not be able to deliver information, better on some days or worse on other days. And a lot of it has to do with how much I've been treating and the amount of exposures that I have because I have a lot of ongoing issues. So just following along with my videos and watching them, you're going to be able to see that the things that I'm saying have really happened to me. And this is my reality because of the way I'm delivering the information and the way I look and the various changes throughout the course of time. Over the time I've been filming these videos, the changes are noticeable, sometimes very extreme from one day to the next. So I know like a lot of people don't want to understand how serious this is, how large scale, how long term. The reality is, this has been going on my entire life. My mother never wanted children, and she was always able to manipulate my dad. So he never recognized that everything she was saying to him when they were alone or in front of me, it didn't really matter. Whatever she was saying to him all along, those were all delusions. None of it was ever real. And that's how she was able to get him to be her enabler to carry out a lot of these crimes. So once he had his injury 3 years ago, she wasn't able to use him as her enabler anymore. And that's where things started to fall apart, on top of the fact that I had already been gathering evidence and trying to report the crimes already for some time. And I was actively gathering more evidence very heavily during that time as well. And I knew it was going to take some time for me to get a lot of this on film, gather the different sets of documents where I have proof that these crimes have occurred and proof of the individuals involved. And you also have to remember that I did spend about 5 years in person gathering evidence to these crimes as well. That is a big chunk to how I was able to figure this out. So by me interacting with all of these individuals who were participating in the crimes against me, and they were completely unaware the whole time, that is a huge part of how I was able to piece everything together and figure out who's connected to who and who did what and when and what's actually going on. And that's a big part of how I was able to do it. It's just everybody thought I was naive or thought I had a mental disorder or a drug problem, and they didn't realize I 100% knew everything going on all along. And I was gathering evidence on every person along the way. Now, for a portion of that time, I could not speak or deliver information, and I was very sick fighting for my life. And there was nothing I could have did about it, and I couldn't have taken further steps to get arrests made or expose anybody or make any videos or go public with anything, because I was in such an extreme fight for my life for a very long time. So there's many videos up on this already and everything that's been going on. But everything is broken down into many different playlists because that's the only way to tell the story, because it's literally my entire life of nothing but chaos, crimes, harassment. All of these problems have come out of it, and it's been nonstop my entire life, and all from behind the scenes with no contact, no relationship for over 2 decades. My mother's been able to pull this off. So, you know, with the amount of videos that I'm releasing, I'm having to do everything individually because of how large scale, how long term, how many different situations and crimes have occurred. That's the only way to tell it. It's not just this one thing happened over here or just this one video over here. No, we're talking hundreds, if not, it may be over 1,000 by the time I get done telling the story. A lot of people are confused. They think I'm just talking about that one situation or some other situation, or just this one little thing going on. No, there are many pieces to everything I'm talking about. All of these situations are going on at once. They're all connected to each other. They're all involved in the crimes. This is a very large scale criminal group of people who've all been participating in this, attempting to gain access to my missing stolen trust fund. And they've all already also taken payments from it as well. So, um, what I'm doing here is I'm still recording videos. I have a lot of destruction, a lot of disasters and pieces to pick up because this has blown my life apart repeatedly, over the course of the last 24 years or so. It's blown everything apart to where I'm always rebuilding, restructuring, completely financially wiped out, rebuilding again, harassment and crimes nonstop all during this. And I've been left permanently injured as of 10 years ago. So accommodating all this with the injuries that I have, it's a lot harder. But I was able to finally start filming about 2 years ago, whereas prior to that, I would have never been able to do it any sooner because of the amount of treatment it required to repair the brain tissue to be able to speak enough for others to understand my content or even want to listen to me talk. So, there's a lot of videos being filmed. And the whole point of me doing it the way I'm doing it is because I need as much content up as possible. Because when this all blows, when the entire case, when the entire story blows, it's going to make national news. This is going to go viral on all social media platforms, all across the actual news, all across the nation. This is going to be the largest Munchausen by proxy case ever known in history to go on for that long. Usually people are able to break free and it's able to be stopped, not in my situation. So, with the amount of time this has gone on and the amount of videos that I already have up, currently it's over 200. And as I'm continuing to film, it's definitely going to be at least another 200 or 300. If not, it could be over 1,000. It depends on many circumstances. But what I'm trying to do is have as much content up as possible. I'm not working on the algorithm and like search engine optimization, and I'm not working on doing that currently. I am inputting some of this information when I make the videos and post them, but what I'm actually doing is just trying to get as much content up as possible. And then I will go back and I will make many different shorts, and I will work on the search engine optimization and getting the word to spread on the entire story. But the point is, I'd like to have the majority of the story up before I go doing that, because I can't keep up with the amount of views and the amount of people that would be watching and then waiting for the next content to come out. I'm too occupied. I'm too injured. I have too much on my plate. I wouldn't be able to keep up. So what I've been trying to do is just get as much of the content up as possible. And then when the entire story blows, that's where the videos are going to start to go viral. The second that happens, I'll shift how I'm releasing the information. I'll go back and I'll put different things and make the shorter videos, because it's naturally going to go viral once arrests are made and the truth is fully exposed. All the individuals who participated, once it comes out about all those and who those people are and what's been going on, the entire story is going to go viral. I'm going to be made very famous. A lot of people already know who I am, or they've already met me in person, and they're aware that this was going to happen at some point in the future. But the reality is, this is a very extreme case. This is going to make me very famous, and a lot of people are going to find the content once the story actually blows and arrests are made. It's not just me sitting here rambling on different social media sites and different videos, speculating and talking about this and that. These are facts. I have hardcore proof. I physically gathered the evidence in person for years and physically gathered FOIA requested documents for years as well. So these are facts. These are hardcore facts. There's proof of just about everything I've said. There's proof somewhere, some way, and or witnesses. And it took me a long time to gather what I do have to get things where they are. And this is also not just me talking on social media sites in hopes that somebody's going to make arrests. That's not what I'm doing. So there's a lot of moves that I'm making behind the scenes that I don't talk about in the videos, that I don't tell other people in my personal life. I pretty much cut everybody out who was a part of my personal life. Every person has literally been a problem all along the way. So, you know, there's a lot of things that I am doing. I just can't really talk about it. And there's different moves I've made in many different directions, in different ways, different agencies, different forms of the manner in which I've gone about trying to spread the word and get the right eyes on the situation and the right agencies involved. There's many different ways I've gone about this over the course of, I'd say, like the last, I don't know, year or so. Now, I did start beginning to try to report these crimes in 2022 in person. And I got nowhere with it because nobody wants to believe something this large scale and long term is going on, or that there's this many corrupt police officers and attorneys and agencies and all these people locally who are involved in this. So after a certain period of time and spending so many different times trying to report this, I began going about it differently. And even 7 or 8 years ago, when I knew I should be filming these videos and I couldn't speak, I knew that eventually the videos would begin to expose it if I wasn't able to prior to that. So there's a lot of different measures I've taken. There's a lot of people I've talked to. There's a lot of information that I've physically mailed out, that I've emailed out, information I've shared with a lot of different individuals at different levels in different areas. So this is not just me talking and rambling and hoping that somebody's going to do something about it. That's not at all what's going on here. So the story is going to blow very soon. It's boiling in the background. At the very least, every person who's ever met my mother should be alerted to the fact that that's an entire fake personality and she's not the person that she's portrayed herself to be. Which would explain why I left at 18 and cut all ties and why she has no role in my life. There's no contact, no relationship. That situation alone explains that in itself, that I've been on my own all these years, paying for all my own bills all these years, fighting against all these crimes and all this harassment that she's created all these years by myself. So that should explain that right away. I've never been a mental disorder drug addict running the streets. Nobody's been able to find me and she raised my kids. That was never going on. Those are delusions. She only said that to people so she could try to gain access to my missing stolen trust fund, and she did so by portraying herself to have custody of my older 2 kids, which is also why she's never been allowed around my youngest child, who's 10. There is no relationship. There is no contact. He's never been allowed around her. She has been able to sneak in pictures here or there when there was crossing of paths. And she was using those pictures to portray to other people that she's raising these kids. And she did sneak in a few pictures of my youngest child when there's been those few crossing of paths. And she did that because she's trying to keep this false narrative going. But she was told numerous times she's not allowed to take pictures of him. So the story is boiling in the background. I've done a lot of work on this. This has taken me hundreds, if not over 1,000 hours of work. And then if you want to count the hours that I put in person while I was sick fighting for my life under daily treatment, and extremely unwell while I was gathering some of this information, the amount of hours I put in during that time period, I mean, I can't even tell you. It's hundreds of hours. It could be over 1,000 really, because I had to gather a lot of this information in person, and there was no other way to go about getting the evidence that I needed to fully make proper arrests. So I know a lot of these people think that they're getting away with this, and in the background, all these people who've been involved in the crimes against me, they are scrambling in the background trying to cover up what they've done. But the reality is I have physical proof of what every single person involved has done. So it doesn't matter how badly they want to cover it up, how much they want to lie, and whatever moves and corrupt moves they're trying to make in the background, trying to cover it up, you're still not going to be able to cover it up. I have it in my possession. There are people with backups. And you have to also remember that I hired Charmaine at the beginning of 2020 to begin documenting these crimes for numerous reasons. The crimes were going on very heavily at that time frame, and I was also fighting for my life, and every person around me was screaming my mother's delusions when I couldn't have sound, suffering 50, 60 severe symptoms at once. So when that happened, I had to bring her in because of the physical state that I was in, not knowing if I was going to live, and there was no rest, no recovery, no treatment, and everybody's screaming, and this was an impossible situation. At the same time this was going on, the harassment and crimes were amplifying, and physical evidence of these crimes was being dropped off to my house. And my mother was using my dad, this was before his injury, she was using my dad to get some of these items into my home because there's no relationship, no contact. At the same time, she's repeating delusions to those who are around me, using my dad to get my older kids in her possession, repeating delusions to all of them, and causing the chaos while placing delusional phone calls to my city's police department. So all during that time, the evidence was showing up here. And that was when I brought Charmaine in. And then she was able to see the people around me and their behavior and what was going on during my injury. Whether I was injured or not, the behavior was extremely excessive and inappropriate, regardless of what was going on. So she has all of these crimes documented, especially because I was picking up this information in person for a long time. She has all of these crimes documented every week, if not more than once a week. And she's got other evidence because there's been phone calls with her and numerous of my family members along the way. And other people who've been participating in the crimes against me have also called her and told on themselves as well. So she has this all documented every time this has happened from the beginning of 2020 to the current day in 2026. She has all of this documented, every person, every situation, every city, every corrupt cop, every corrupt attorney, every screaming delusion, all the delusions coming out of my kid's mouth, my dad's mouth, every person who ever called her and admitted that they were calling on the delusions about me and had a false narrative. So that means they're telling on themselves when they're calling with this information. She has all of this documented from January of 2020, and now we're in May 2026. She has all of it, every step of the way. Every step of the way. Every person who crossed state lines and showed up at my work and caused a problem. Every person who gang stalked me, followed me around, attempted capital M on me, and had this hit out on me, and there were numerous people trying to physically take me and get rid of me. She has every incident documented. That is legal proof. This is medical records. She has legal proof of all of it, on top of everything that I physically experienced and gathered in person, and all of the false police reports and delusional phone calls, and all the agencies who wrote false reports, all the attorneys who wrote false reports on my mother's behalf. Those are physical papers in different systems that all exist, and I have them in my possession. So there is proof of everything I'm saying. This is not me sitting here speculating and rambling. These are facts. So arrests will be made sooner than later. That's why I'm making all these videos. That's why I'm trying to get as many up as I can, because as soon as arrests are made, the entire story is going to blow. And that's when the views and my YouTube channel will be blowing up. Probably all the platforms, but the YouTube, it's just easier to comprehend what's going on and follow the story better. So that's why I always say YouTube. But it will be all of the platforms. The story will probably make me millions. Somebody will probably make a movie out of it at some point, if not several of them. So that's where things are going. And that's why I'm uploading so many videos and not really worried about spreading them just yet. I'm trying to get the majority of the content up first. And then I will address the search engine optimization and all the different words, all the keywords, so that way when people search it, they'll find it. But again, once the story blows, I won't even need to do that anymore. I will just shift how I'm making the videos, and I will make the shorts, so it'll be easier for people to find at that point. So that's what I wanted to talk about in this video. Yeah, I'll be back with more. Thanks. Bye.